Hi everyone, good morning. We'll be focusing on review, and yes, we are now in part four of pre-colonial history in the Philippines. So, after mag-discuss or after nato ang part four ng mga questionnaire nato, ako i-discuss sa inyo kanang the entirety of the um Philippine history sa pre-colonial, and this is the summary. So syempre taas man gyud kayo ang kanang history sa pre-colonial. However, gi-summarize na ko para sa inyo mag-focus ta para sa inyong mga exam, especially sa social studies, because this is very important in your major. So again, my name is Joby. So nakapasar po ko sa lahat, and yes, nag-self-review po ko. And then today, I will be sharing you daghan kay og materials na i-share sa inyo ako mga reviewers na very effective. And um, I will be providing you 10 seconds to think, for you to exercise, for you to dive into the right choices, para mag-think sa questions, okay? So, without further ado, let us start. Okay, so we are now in the pre-colonial part 4. Kung wala pang nakakita sa part 1, part 2, and part 3, you can check sa YouTube channel. Naka-indicate dito sa social studies major na playlist. I-check na ninyo para um, masugdan din ninyo sa part 1, part 2, and part 4. And now we are on part 4. Okay, without further ado, let us start in question number 101. What tool did artisans use to carve wooden boats? Again, what tool did artisans use to carve wooden boats? Letter A, hammer and nail. Letter B, adze. Letter C, chisel. Letter D, bowie and knife. Get the answer. So letter A, hammer and nail. Letter B, adze. Letter C, chisel. Letter D, bowie knife. Timer starts now. Okay, so the correct answer will be letter B, ants. Okay, ants, this is curved blade, ideal for shaping holes and smoothing wood. Okay, so mo ni siya ang ginagamit para sa mga artisans para makarve ang um, wooden boats. Okay, the ants. Ang hammer and nail, this is weren't used because plants were lushed with fiber. So wala ginagamit way back before sa pre-colonial ang hammer and nail. Okay? Kaya ginagamit nila kay ginakuha nila sa fiber, kumbaga ginatali, ginaikot. So, the correct answer will be ants. It is because mo siya ang curved blade ideal for shaping, okay, holes and smoothing wood, okay. Chisel naman on the other hand, this is used for finer detail but not heavy bow shaping. A bowie knife naman, this is western hunting knife, so not a boat building tool. So the correct answer for ang tool na ginagamit for the artisans para makarve ang wooden boats, that is adze, okay. Okay, let us proceed to question number 102. Which knot was a prized pre-colonial sack and trade item? Again, which knot was prized pre-colonial snack and trade item? Letter A, peeling. Letter B, cashew. Letter C, walnut. Letter D, almond. Timer starts now. Okay. So the correct answer, so which nut was prized pre-colonial snack and trade item? That is letter A, pili. Okay, it's because ang okay. Pili ang answer because mo na siya ang indigenous to Bicol, valued for butter flavor and oil. And ang cashew naman, this is already introduced later na via European trade. So, dili siya ang answer. Ang walnut naman, this is temperate climate tree and wala siya nag-grow sa Philippines way back before. Ang almond, this is also the native and it's already arrived after the colonization. So the correct answer will be pili. And now let us proceed to question number 103. What natural container did early Filipinos hollow out to store water or oil? Unsa daw ang natural container nga ginagamit sa mga Filipinos to hollow out or to store water or oil? Letter A, bamboo segments. Letter B, clay jars. Letter C, coconut shells. Letter D, turtle shells. Timer starts now. By the way guys, kung wala pa man naka-subscribe, palihog po subscribe para sa daghan pa ng videos para sa daghan pa ng content na inyan. So going back, what natural container did early Filipinos hollow out to store water or oil? That is letter C, coconut shells. Mao na sila ang ginagamit nila na containers para para dito gine-store ang water or oil. It's because the coconut shell this is readily available and then portable cups and ladle. So ginahimod siya nga imnanan og tubig o mga sandok. It's because what is your answer? Because bamboo segments this is used for pipes and musical instrument and less for liquids. That was before, okay? So ang main na ginastore na nila tubig o kanang ano oil is the coconut shells. Because ang bamboo ginagamit lang nila for sandayong, okay? Or sa mga musical instruments. And then clay jars, this is heavier, used for cooking and rice storage. Okay? So, ginakaan nila sa rice storage, tapos lutuan nila ang clay jars. Ang turtle shells naman, this is rare and unsustainable for common use. So, ginagamit nila nga um, stored og mga mantika or kanang tubig kay coconut shells it is because readily available siya and daghan siya before daghan og kalubin-an before. So next we have a question 104. What was the pre-colonial term for slash and burn farming? What was the pre-colonial term for slash and burn farming? Letter A, kainin. Letter B, barter. Letter C, hilo. Letter D, umalho. Timer starts now. So, what was the pre-colonial term for slash and burn farming? And the correct answer will be letter A, that is kaingin. It's because kaingin mo nisla ang slash and burn. Okay? Hagbasan tapos sunugon. So, kaingin, this is to clearing out the forest to plant upland rice and root crops. So, manghagbas sila tapos ilang sunugon ang kanang mga sagbot para mahimo siyang fertilizer sa yuta and then dinaa sila magtanom og mga root crops nila or sa mga rice. So barter dili siya ang maong answer barter hilot and umang luhukan dili sila connected sa or dili sila kuan sa slash and burn. It's because the barter this is the trading system. This is not an agricultural practice. Hilot naman on the other hand, this is traditional healing massage and this is not related to farming. And then umaluhokan this is town crier or the messenger katong tagabalita sa mga batas sa mga dato before. So ang tawag ana is umaluhokan, the messenger or the town crier. So the correct answer for slash and burn that is kaingin. Now let us proceed to question number 105. Which musical ensemble used a row of small flat gongs? Which musical and symbol use a row or of a small flat gong? Letter A, gandingan. Letter B, kulintang. Letter C, kubing. Letter D, kudlong. Timer starts now. Guys, kung yung subscribe para po maganahan pakubuhat yung mga ano. Di ba din siya basta-basta magbuhat din ani guys. Very challenging, time consuming, and then brain kuan kaayo ka ng sitaw gani. Pero kailangan din mo malawak yung pag-iisip. Actually today is 3:00 sa kaadlaw guys. So nagkuan ko nag-prepare ko sa inyong materials guys. Sacrifice na ako akong tulog, akong ano para ma-prepare na ko inyong materials ug tarong kaniong 3:00, 3:00. Hmm, 3:00 sa kaadlaw guys. So please guys, aliw po subscribe, like and subscribe and then share para daghan pa og kanang matabangan nato na mga future LPTs. So going back, which musical ensemble used a row of small flat gongs? The correct answer will be letter B, kulintang. Muna siya ang musical ensemble na ginagamitan of small or flat gongs. Okay? Kulintang. Okay, musical ensembles na flat gongs, row of small flat gongs, that is kulintang. Okay? So, kulintang, this is the main melodic instrument. Gongro for court and ritual music. Okay. Gandingan, on the other hand, this is set of hanging gong. Part of the kulintang ensemble, but not the row. Okay, part lang siya sa sa kulintang, pero dili siya ang row. And then, kubing naman, this is a bamboo joe harp, single note mouth instrument. So dili siya mao ang answer. Kudlong naman, this is corded lute, string instrument. So dili siya made from dili siya a musical ensemble na ginakuan sa row of platform. Okay, so the correct answer will be kulintang. Now let us proceed to question number 106. What spice did pre-colonial traders bring from Southeast Asia? What spice did pre-colonial traders bring from Southeast Asia? Letter A, cumin. Letter B, cinnamon. Letter C, pepper. Letter D, paprika. Timer starts now. Actually guys, ganina na rin alas 12 kaya nagmata-alas 12 nag-prepare ko sa inyong material. So again, what spice did pre-colonial traders bring from Southeast Asia? That is letter C, pepper. Muna siya ang spice nga um, ginadala sa pre-colonial traders from Southeast Asia. Pepper, okay? Pepper, this is highly prized, transported via Malay archipelago to Chinese market. Cumin naman, this is Middle Eastern or Indian spice, rare in the Philippines. Ang cinnamon, this is more associated with Ceylon this is located in Sri Lanka. Ang paprika, this is New World chili, arrived much later na Africa na. Okay, let us proceed to question number 107. Which weaving pattern symbolizes warrior status among some groups? Which weaving pattern symbolizes warrior status among some groups? Letter A, binakol. Letter B, inabel. C, tinalak. Letter D, pinilian. Timer starts now. Okay. The correct answer will be the correct answer that is binakol. Muna siya ang weaving pattern symbolize warrior status among some groups. It's because binakol, this is Ilocano geometric ikat. formerly worn by chiefs and warriors. Okay? Pag ginasuot gani sa mga chief and warriors, that is binakol. Okay? Inabel naman, this is Ilocano plain weave for blankets and wrap. Ang tinalak, this is tiboli ikat, dyed by women but not warrior specific. Pinilian, this is decorative brocade late, and this is already in the later period. So we are talking about pre-colonial, okay? So ang hold on. Ang weaving pattern nag-symbolize for warrior status among some groups, that is binakol. Okay, let us proceed to question number 108. The sandok in pre-colonial feast referred to. Again, the sandok in pre-colonial feast referred to letter A, large serving ladle, letter B, tribal drum, letter C, war canoe, letter D, ritual mat. Timer starts now. Okay, so the correct answer will be the sandok in pre-colonial feast referred to letter A, large serving ladle. Ang sandok sa pre-colonial feast referred to large serving ladle. Sandok, this is made from bamboo or wood ladle for communal rice serving. Even ganit today, naapagihapon ang sandok nga kanang mga um, ginabuhat na kanang bamboo made na sandok or kanang gikan sa wood sandok. Ang drum, this is called dansa or other regional terms. Okay? Ang kano naman, this is called balangay, para, or etc. Ang mat naman, this is banig for sitting or sleeping. So the correct answer will be sandok. Next, we have 109. What term described a coastal trader in pre-colonial Philippines? What term described a coastal trader in pre-colonial Philippines? Letter A, Panday. B, Timawa. Letter C, Pintados. Letter D, Maginoong. Timer starts now. Okay. So, what term describe a coastal trader in pre-colonial Philippines? That is letter B, Timawa. Muna siya ang term na nag-describe a coastal trader in pre-colonial Philippines. Because Timawa, this is freemen merchants and warriors serving the dato. So sila ang freemen merchants and also warriors na nag-serve sa dato. Panday naman, this is blacksmith or craftsman. So, dili siya mga answer. Pintados, this is tattooed people, not specifically traders. Maginoo, this is nobility and this is not occupational. So, this is not the correct answer. So, the correct answer is Timawa. Okay, let us proceed to question number 110. Which root crops supplemented rice in early Philippine diet? Which crop supplemented rice in early Philippine diet? Letter A, cassava. Letter B, taro. Letter C, sweet potato. Letter D, yam. Timer starts now. Okay. Guys, palihog kong subscribe, guys. Please, para mas ganahan ako mag-create din ani ng mga content as well. Para daghan pud tag matabangan ng mga reviewers. Okay? So the correct answer, which crop supplemented rice in early Philippine diet? That is letter B, taro. Okay? It's because taro, this is indigenous staple na kanang kumbaga, 'pag wala sila'y bugas, dito sila magpalaban sa Carlang. Taro hinano pero Carlang or Gabi, Gabi. Carlang and Gabi is kanang same family space. So taro, this is indigenous staple used in stew and pounded dishes. Okay, mo ni sila ang nila if supplemented if walay bugas, walay kanon. So, ang taro or gabi. Okay. So, cassava, this is already introduced post-colonial from the Americas. Okay, ang cassava, introduced na siya sa post-colonial na. Sweet potato, this is also New World introduction. So, way back before sa pre-colonial, wala pa ang kamote. Yam naman, this is Asian yams existed, but less widespread than taro. Nag-exist na siya before, pero wala kaayo, dili kayo sila daghan, dili kayo daghan ang yam or ang ubi. So, the ang gina-supplement nila sa rice is ang taro. Let us proceed to question number 111. What luxury wear came from Chinese kilns and pre-colonial trade? What luxury wear came from Chinese kilns and pre-colonial trade? Letter A, glass beads. Letter B, bronze mirror. Letter C, porcelain. Letter D, silk cloth. Timer starts now. Okay. So, unsa daw ang pinakamahal nga ang luxury wear came from Chinese kilns and pre-colonial trade. Ang pinakamahal na wear, that is letter C, porcelain. Okay, mo na siya ang luxury during sa pre-colonial trade. It's because ang porcelain, this is a high status dining and display pieces. Okay? Ang beads, this is glass beads from India used in barter. So, ginagamit siya ang beads para sa barter. Ang kanang beads, gikan na siya sa India. Ang mirrors naman, this is sometimes imported, but porcelain was more common. Ang silk, this is traded, but not a hardwood like porcelain. So, ang pinaka-luxury niya trade sa pre-colonial is porcelain. Let us proceed to 112. The bubo was used primarily for the bubo was used primarily for nani answer the ano okay. Okay, the bubo was used okay, let's proceed to question number 112. The bubo was used primarily for letter A, grinding grains, B, trapping fish, letter C, spinning thread, letter D, cooking rice. Timer starts now. Okay, so the bubo was used primarily for letter B, trapping fish. Na even though today ginagamit gihapon ni siya para panghuli og isda. So the trapping fish ang bubo. And then trapping hold on, the bobo naman, this is ang trap na made from bamboo or rattan, fish trap in rivers and tidal floods. Naka ano pa gyud kuan, abot pa gyud kuan ang akong papa buhat og tin-ana. Kagyas man na siya, kagyas ba? Bagyas na siya sa mga tray. Kagyas, ano ko man to kanang plant. So, bagyas na siya sa mga tray sa digbabaon. Ginagamit na siya sa akong papa before. Ang butangan, gina-form na niya o kanang kuan, bubo or kanang rattan fish. Or also made from bamboo. Tapos ginasudlan na niya og mga sinugba nga kamote, balanghoy, karlang, or kanon. And then pagkahapon, ibutang na niya sa river, sa sapa. And then pagka-morning, iyang balikon. And then, daghan pagsudan. Ana god. So, ang bubo mo na siya ang ginagamit for fish traps. This is made from bamboo or rattan para sa mga fish trap. Ang grinding, this is done with molino stones or mortar and pestle. So, dili siya ang kung sa bubo. And and then spinning naman, this is hand spun on trap spindle. So that's not the correct answer. Cooking, this is over open fire in clay pots. So dili siya gihapon ang correct answer. So bubo stands for the fish trap. Okay, let us proceed to question number 113. Which class could not serve in Datu's army? Which class could not served in the Datos Army? Letter A, Maharlika. B, Timawa. Letter C, Aliping Sagigilid. Letter D, Panday. Timer starts now. Okay. So, which class could not serve in the Datos Army? Letter A, Maharlika. B, Timawa. C, Aliping Sagigilid. D, Panday. The correct answer will be letter C, aliping sa gigilid. Muna siya ang class na dili pwede mag-serve in Datus Army. Okay? It's because aliping sa gigilid, this is bonded laborers excused from army service. So, kuan lang gid sila kanang kumbaga katulong kanang kuan lang gid sila kanang taga-serve lang gid siya dito sa balay sa master. Maharlika, this is hereditary warrior nobility. Primary fighters ang Maharlika. Timawa naman, this is obliged to serve in military campaigns. And Panday, this is craftsman and could be conscripted for weapon making. So ang class na dili siya gina-allow to fight or save as Datus army is the aliping sa gigilid. Their main function is mag-prepare, mag-atiman sa balay or mag-atiman sa mga sa balay sa lang masters. Okay, let us proceed to 114. What did pre-colonial Filipinos use as fuel in cooking kilns? What did pre-colonial Filipinos use as a fuel in cooking kiln? Letter A, charcoal. Letter B, coconut shell. Letter C, kerosene. Letter D, pit. Timer starts now. Okay. So, hold on. Okay. What did pre-colonial Filipinos use as fuel in cooking kilns? That is letter C, coconut shells. It is because abunda ang kalubigan sa ilaha before. So, ang coconut shells, this is brain hot and steady and ideal for pottery kilns. Charcoal naman, this is made later from wood. Coconut shells were abundant. Okay, again, so a correct answer is coconut shells because it's abundant. Kerosene, this is fossil fuel introduced much later. So wala pa ni siya na-introduce during pre-colonial. Ang peat naman, this is not widespread in tropical archipelago. Okay, so di kayo siya well known ang peat. Now let us proceed to question 115. The term kaharian meant the term kaharian, pasabot daw ana, letter A, kingdom, letter B, council, letter C, marketplace, letter D, fist. Timer starts now. Okay. So the term kaharian meant letter A, kingdom. Okay, kaharian. In Tagalog, kaharian. In English, that is kingdom. Okay? So, ang kaharian, mo ni siya ang rule of Araha or dato over multiple barangays. Okay? Kaharian, rule of Araha or dato over multiple barangays. Council, this is barangay assembly is called pulong. Okay? So, dili siya kahari, kuwan sa kingdom. Marketplace, this is pamilihan or tiangge. Okay? Ang feast naman, this is salo-salo or handaan. So, the correct answer for the kaharian, that is kingdom. So, mga bonus question na kayo siya sa let exam. By the way guys, palihog subscribe kay daghan sa ato ang viewers, daghan sa nagaano, wala sila naka-subscribe. Please naman, counter kuan ta ninyo dinhi, counter giving. So I'm giving you informations and in return, pwede ko nang i-subscribe. Anyways, guys, dili pa man ko kakwartaan yung na ano, di pa man ko monetize. Kay gamay pa kayo. Layo pa kayo. Layo pa kayo butunon before ko makakwarta. Ma-monetize. Ano, pero guys, pwede ko subscribe, please. Kay, in return good sa information, sa effort, sa kung na akong mga person. So going back, let us proceed to question number 116. Which bird motif appears on the Manonggol jar lid? Which bird motif appears on the Manonggol jar lid? Letter A, Garuda. Letter B, Sari Manok. Letter C, Phoenix. Letter D, Thunderbird. Timer starts now. Okay. So, which bird motif appears in the Manonggol jar lid? The correct answer will be letter, letter, hold on, letter B, Sari Manok. Okay? Ang motif na nag-appear, ang bird motif na nag-appear sa Manonggol jar lid is the Sari Manok. Okay? It's because ang Sari Manok, Manggod, this is a Marandaw legendary bird and this is a symbol of good fortune. So, mga na ginabutan nila sa lid sa Manonggol jar. Garuda naman, this is Hindu myth, less in Philippine iconography. Okay? Phoenix, this is Chinese myth, not a local motif. Ang Thunderbird, this is a Native American legend. So, wala siya kuan sa Philippines, sa pre-colonial. So, Sari Manok, mana siya ang motif, bird motif na ibutang sa Manonggol jar lid. Okay, let us proceed to question number 117. What rope fiber did pre-colonial Filipinos prefer for sailing region? What rope did pre-colonial Filipinos prefer for sailing a region? Letter A, cotton. Letter B, Manila hemp or abacal. Letter C, jute. Letter D, sisal. Timer starts now. Okay. So, what rope fiber did pre-colonial Filipinos prefer for sailing region? That is letter B, the abaca. Because abunda pa ni ang Pilipinas sa unog abaka, daghang abaka ang Pilipinas. So, muna ang nila and also abaka is kanang kuan gud siya lig-on. So, muna siya ang ginahimo nila nga PC, rope fiber. Okay, so again, this is extremely strong native banana fiber ideal for ropes. Ang cotton naman, this is too weak for heavy loads. Ang jute, this is imported and inferior in tensile strength. Imported ni siya. Sisal, this is African agave fiber, rare. So wala kayo siya dari dili siya majority good na nitubo dira sa Pilipinas. And then ang ginagamit nila again, this is also abaka ginagamit nila for weaving cloth, pangtahi. And then because this is extremely strong and then daghan ni siya before abunda ang Pilipinas before. So let us proceed to question number 118. Which pre-colonial practice involved community barn racing? Which pre-colonial practice involved community barn racing? Letter A, bayanihan. Letter B, sandugo. Letter C, kainin. Letter D, baktin. Timer starts now. Okay. So, which pre-colonial practice involved community barn raising? That is letter Letter A, bayanihan. So, mali siyang pre-colonial practice involving community barn raising. It's because bayanihan, this is where neighbors, mga tao sa kasilinganan, nag-help of remove or rebuild a bahay kubo. So, actually, kaabot ako ani before nga na bayanihan good na ever ang isa ka kanang silingan nag-need magpanday og balay, so ang mga tanang silingan nagatabang-tabang na ay magluto, na ay magpanday, na ay ana gud nagtinabangay og panday mo na siya ang bayanihan. Sandugo, this is blood compact ceremony, so this is not political alliance. Kaingin, this is farming slash and burn, and this is not construction. Ang baktin, this is no record of this term. Baktin is kanang biik god, so dili siya apil dinitan, di ba? And let us proceed to question number 119. Which animal was domesticated for flowing and transport? Which animal was domesticated for flowing and transport? Letter A, carabao. B, horse. Letter C, camel. Letter D, ox. Timer starts now. Okay. So, which animal was domesticated for flowing and transport? That is letter A, carabao. It's because the carabao before this is a water buffalo central to wet rice cultivation. Okay. So, ang animal na domesticated for flowing and transport is the carabao. Kaya sila ang nagadarugod sa kahumayan. Okay, central to wet rice cultivation. Ang horse naman, this is already introduced by Spanish cavalry. Ginagamit ang horse before sa war. And camel naman, this is not suited to tropical archipelago. Well, ox, generic term na siyang ox, pero carabao is the native and equivalent. So, carabao din siya ang ginadomesticate sa farming. Now let us proceed to question number 120. What was the primary material for making fishing nets? What was the primary material for making fishing nets? Letter A, cotton thread. Letter B, abaca fiber. Letter C, silk strand. Letter D, plastic twine. Timer starts now. So what is the primary material for making fishing nets? So that is letter B, abaca fiber. Abaca, daghan kayo siya gamit ang abaca pang weave sa cloth, pang tahi, pang himuong lubid, anagod. So, mo na ang ginagamit nila before. It's because abunda ang Pilipinas og abaca. And then, abaca is known for a strong fiber. Again, this is a tough and resistant to water damage. So, mo ni siya ang nila for fishing nets. And ginaweave sa cloth and then ginaging mga pisi. And then the cotton naman, this is very weak. Pag mabasa siya, dali na kayo siya mabunto and then prone to rot. Silk naman, this is too expensive para himuon lang nila fishing nets. Ang plastic, this is already modern invention. Okay, so the correct answer will be abaca. So dagang gamit ng dagang kay uses ang abaca. And even up until today. So now let us proceed to question 121. Which pre-colonial artifact was used to measure time and seasons? Which pre-colonial artifact was used to measure time and seasons? Letter A, sundial. Letter B, bamboo calendar. Letter C, stone marker. Letter D, moon phases. Timer starts now. Okay. So which pre-colonial artifact was used to measure time and seasons? That is letter D, moon phases. Okay? Una siya ang pre-colonial artifact nga ginagamit para ma-measure ang time and season. The moon phases, nagatanaw sila sa bulan. So, moon phases, this is observed naturally to guide planting, fishing, and rituals. And also, ang kuan kayo kay wala pa may clock nila before, so naga-base lang sila sa moon. Ang sundial naman, this is used in other ancient civilization pero not widely documented in early Philippine communities. Ang bamboo calendar, this is a practical tool for making lunar cycles and agricultural seasons. So, dili siya into time and seasons time. Dili siya into time and seasons. And while the stone marker, this is often ceremonial and not primarily time for timekeeping. So the correct answer will be moon phases. All right. So hold on. Okay, so that's end for our part 4 in pre-colonial history. So, before ta mag-proceed sa sa Spanish era, maghatag sa ako sa inyo for summary discussion sa pre-colonial era. Okay, so that's it for our part 4 in our pre-colonial era in Philippine history. And then guys, palihog ko like, subscribe kay most sa ato ang viewers is wala pa naka-subscribe, wala pa naka-follow, wala naka-like. Something nga na good. So, palihog ko guys, please support me naman na nagabuhating ani, and then also ma-distribute pa ni siya sa mga audiences, especially sa mga reviewers nga nagkinahanglan pud og mga material. So, stay tuned. Tomorrow I will be uploading ang katong summary discussion for pre-colonial history of the Philippines. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Ayaw kalimot og like and subscribe. Okay, thank you so much and see you tomorrow.